Yep, it's Sunday, October 17th. Nice chilly morning. And I realized that the video I put up yesterday is probably my most controversial video, the most wild thing I've said so far. It's got 4 likes and 6 dislikes, so I thought I would just talk about it a little more. You might be able to tell my voice is a little sore. That's because I realized that yesterday, that was my 5th attempt, that video. I mean, I kept shooting it and I'd get like 10 minutes in and then I would just, it's not the easiest subject to talk about. So I kept restarting it and I realized I was kind of yelling. It's not good. So I just want to talk more about this. Really, I mean, the freedom of speech is just on my mind right now because it's not entirely protected. And I just want to, the whole point of the rule is that the whole point of the First Amendment, the point of having this concept, freedom of speech, is so that, even if you're a woman, I can criticize you and disagree with you. If you're black, I can criticize you and disagree with you. If you're gay, I can criticize you and disagree with you. If you're trans, I can criticize you and disagree with you. If you're a billionaire, if you're the president, if you're a homeless guy, it doesn't really matter who you are. I'm allowed to criticize you and disagree with you. That's the point of this rule. I mean, that's anybody who seeks to take this away from me is my enemy. And when you start attacking the First Amendment of the Constitution, the number 1 amendment, to me it's like you're attacking the entire Constitution. It's like, what are we doing here? Are you suggesting we set up a different kind of constitution? I mean, I've been talking about extreme leftists quite a bit here. I've run into people who will say we don't even need the Constitution or we should do something else. And, I'm not a diehard constitutionalist. I'm not saying that we need to use this document that's 250 years old. I'm not saying that we must use the Constitution. But before you go ahead and tear it down, I want to see the alternative. I want to see what you got written up. I would like to see it presented to me or to somebody that I've elected, a leader, right? I would like to see the new Constitution. I'd like to be able to read it and agree to it. Whatever your new thing is, I have to give my consent as a citizen. Or at least a representative of me has to give their consent. And, these, again, I know I keep talking about extreme leftists, but they don't seem to care about consent. They don't really seem to care what I think. It's just their rules or else, I should be killed or something, right? It's like their way or the highway, honestly. For a group that seems to talk about consent so much, they don't really care about consent of the governed. They don't care if, wow. I'm an American citizen. The other people that live in this country are American citizens, or they will be soon, or they're visiting, or they're here illegally. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can be within the borders of the United States. But there needs to be a set of rules that we're playing by. Like, we're not just animals in shared territory. We're not just human beings that just happen to live in the same place. We need a narrative. We need a rule set between us so that we don't kill each other. If there's no Constitution, what's to stop me from just killing you and stealing your stuff? There has to be rules. And if you're suggesting that we don't have the first rule anymore, freedom of speech, to me, it's like you're suggesting that we shouldn't even have the entire document. And then it's like, what game are we playing? Right? What game are we playing? And do I need to bring a gun to this game of yours, right? You're saying, no, we're not using this rule book. So then I'm like, okay, what rule book are we using? What rule book are we using? So that's... You know, it's really, every time you get in this conversation, it's always like, they will act like they're protecting some group. It's always put into the context of like hate speech or protecting minorities or marginalized groups. And I don't buy it anymore. I don't buy it anymore. You know, I am not out here to hurt anyone. I'm out here to just be able to... Oh my God, I am not the enemy, right? I don't think I am. And yet I'm just, if I criticize the wrong person, they call me the enemy. They use one of their words, you know, I'll be racist, homophobic, transphobic. I'll be one of those things. They'll accuse me of hate speech. And then they take away my First Amendment right. They keep doing this. They do it to everybody on any platform. If you say the wrong thing, your First Amendment right is taken away. Your ability to speak is removed. And that is the worst thing. That is the worst thing. I don't want these people to be able to do this anymore. I don't want, you know, and it works differently in different platforms and in different situations. It's always a different kind of thing. But, you know, what exactly am I complaining about? Cancel culture? Am I complaining about extreme leftism? I understand this conversation, the difference between cancel culture and consequence culture. Like, you should still face consequences for what you say, but your ability to say it should never be removed, no matter what. No matter what. Freedom of speech applies to everybody. Everybody. Everybody gets to criticize everybody else. Everybody gets to disagree with everybody else. I don't want to live in a world where anything else is true. I would fight to preserve this current world. I mean, that's part of the reason I'm making this YouTube channel, is just to talk and hopefully get people to understand what I'm saying. You know, I'm using my speech to enact change, hopefully. I mean, just to express myself, really, just to... What else do I have to say about this right now? What else do I have to say? You know, I'm not a right-winger. I think I've made that pretty clear by now. I'm not... Like, this is what's crazy to me, is that there's people on the left who can't speak their minds. There's so many people. It feels like 90% of the country has things that they would say, but they cannot say it. Because they know they're going to lose their job, they're going to lose friends. Like, we just gotta... Everybody that's in this like reasonable majority needs to just take Dave Chappelle's advice, really, and just realize that Twitter's not a real place. And so what if 100 people call you transphobic or racist or whatever, right? So what? So what? Just let them do it. You know, fuck those people. It's not... They have too much power. They've just... This whole cancel culture thing has just gotten too powerful. And I have talked about this before. I think it's largely a result of the duopoly. I think it's the fact that we only have two political parties, the red team and the blue team. And each of them is just reacting to each other and getting... It's just spinning out of control. The relationship, those two, the red and the blue in relationship. And we need to stop that, the death spiral, by creating more parties, which is why we need the Forward Party, we need ranked choice voting. We need like 5 or 6 parties. And then it won't be two, if you imagine a rubber band with like two things, two objects pulling on it on both sides. If you only have 2, they're both going to pull, and I hope this makes sense. If you had 3 or 4, the rubber band wouldn't stretch out as far. So you wouldn't have extreme people coming out. Because I think like most people in this country are not extremists. Most people in this country want mostly the same stuff. I've mentioned this before, like, we all agree on most things, really, truly. It's just the extremists that we have to just let them, they can talk, for sure, they're allowed to say what they're saying, but let's just not have them, let's not give them so much power anymore. What else? What else? What else? I made one wild claim yesterday. One wild claim, which is that there's more transgender people in the extreme left than there are in the general population. And, I want to kind of elaborate on that a little bit, because I think that there's a difference between, there's like a new brand of transgender, of people who think they're transgender. Like so let me explain, because I know that this is a tricky topic. There are transgender people that I have seen that will say that you don't need to have gender dysphoria to be trans. You don't need to have, like, the definition of trans is so much bigger now that, maybe I can switch. To me, trans and gender nonconformity have become slightly interchangeable. There is, in the extreme left, there's like this complete removal of all of the traditional structures of gender, right? And I mean, that's what they say they're doing. They want to get rid of all of the things that they blame on the patriarchy, they blame on, like, I understand that gender roles exist, and I understand that they can be oppressive, and, you're sort of forced to go into one role or another. But these people are trying to go into no roles. They're just making it up. They're like, I'm not a man or a woman. I'm just a thing, right? Like non-binary. These are people who are extremists. I mean, whatever. Like, that's fine. They're allowed to do it. I'm cool with it, but they shouldn't be allowed to tell me what I'm not allowed to say anymore, right? They shouldn't be allowed to take away my First Amendment right. It's really as simple as that, right? It's not, and they're going to tell me that they always do the same thing. They're going to tell me that I'm hateful or I'm hurting people, but I'm really not. Like, I'm trying to help them by making the country not fall apart. It really feels like the country's going to fall apart. So, okay, that's probably enough for today. See you later.